Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's 2024. It's Musical People Journeys, the rock show. Our journey continues. This is episode 6. And welcome back to my wicked panel, to Trish, to Chris, to Nate, and to Paul. Welcome, gang.
Good morning.
Hi, everyone.
Right,
okay.
So, if you tune into the show for the first time, just very simply, we review 2 albums, pit them head to head, rate them out of 5. Which one would we buy? Rate them out of 5. If they get more than an average of 4, they hit the hollowed grounds of Hall of Fame and maybe qualify for our album of the year. But we've got a long way. We've got a long journey. Last year we reviewed 157 albums. Will we review that many this year? Well, I think so. But anyway, in the meantime, let's crack on, because today's battle is Dirty Honey against Cobra Spell. And what have we got? Dirty Honey is an American rock band from Los Angeles, formed in 2007. Consists of singer Mark LaBelle, guitarist John Noto, bassist Justin Somelian, and drummer Jadon Bean. They self-titled, extended, self-released in March 2009. The single, this is really interesting actually, When I'm Gone, topped the Billboard mainstream rock chart, making them the first unassigned band to ever do so. Dirty Honey is an iHeartRadio and on a Verge artist. So wow! So they weren't signed, and it just shows you follow your dream and you can make it. Paul, let's start with you then. Dirty Honey. Was it dirty, and was it honey to your musical tastes, my friend?
Yeah, it was dirty. In the fact that, in many ways, this is a Z-Lep wannabe band, basically. And yeah, so we talk about heavy metal wanting to be like Judas Priest and keep the era alive, and we have listened to a number of bands that want to keep the Led Z experience going. But if you've gone through the Led Zepp catalogue and you've gone through that experience, do you have to listen to bands like Regretta, Van Fleet, and Dirty Honey and so forth? So as an album, this is a very good album. If you're into this stuff, it's bluesy rock with Led Zepp theme about it. He has a very gritty voice, which is a very nice tone and what have you. For me, it's just let down. It's just got this Led Zepp feel to it, and it just sounds exactly like them. And personally, I'd go and listen to Z-Lep or Robert Plant album, rather than go and listen to this. But it was okay. It was slightly above average album. It just wasn't for me, to be honest.
Now, talking about Dirty Honeys, Trish, what did you think? What did you think? You knew that was coming, Trish. You knew. Yeah, I mean, you knew.
Take a moment.
Deep down, you knew that was coming.
Yes. Okay. This opening track.
You've thrown her off. Look at her.
My job. What can I say?
Got it. Okay. This opening track, Don't Put Out the Fire, has this rhythmic guitar, catchy voice, and I could see me dancing around the house as this came on the radio. The album plays really well in a Goodbye June AC/DC way, pure rock music at the heart to make you happy, with the odd slower one thrown into good measure to make this an album that covers all areas. I really love the track Dirty Mind. I have listened to some of Dirty Honey's other stuff, and they have stuck to doing what they know best, delivering exactly what it says on the tin and what the listener wants from an album.
Chris, what do you think? Dirty Honey, my friend? Led Zepp wannabes or not?
So I dust off the 70s, roll it out, and this is pretty much what you get. That sounds like a bad thing. It's an enjoyable album. I could listen to it. I could listen to it again. Probably wouldn't, but could. There's some catchy stuff in there. The singer is good. The guitars are pretty good as well. But it's we'll see what happens when we come on to Cobra Spell. But this kind of hit some decent notes. But as Paul said, if I wanted to listen to people like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, I'll probably go listen to them rather than a tribute that feels like it's been dusted off and rolled out again. So average, maybe slightly higher than average, but not great. Not for me anyway.
Nathan, Dirty Honey, my friend. What did you think?
Dirty Dunny. I don't hear the Led Zeppelin thing at all. I don't hear that at all. I think. What did I think? I think the drummer reminds me quite a lot of Ringo Starr, actually. The drum sound, which is debatable whether that's a good or bad thing. At first, that first track, I thought it was going to be sort of Chili Peppers kind of style, like that. The lead in the big guitar is really cool, and then it kind of does go a wee bit generic for sure. But I like the sort of. The guitarist has got a bit of a Chuck Berry feel to me. He really likes double stops. I'm with you, Trish. I liked what was it, Dirty Mind, something like that. That riff is filthy. It sounded a lot like Lenny Kravitz, and Lenny Kravitz did a load of stuff with Slash, and like it is that sort of minor pentatonic blues riffs. Like that's fine, cool. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. It's a bit dirty. It's a bit filthy. It's not gonna change the world, is it? But yeah, good listen.
Yeah, similar to Ian Thorpe, classic American rock and roll with funk edge, well-produced album with great songs, insanely high vocal range, and so much awesome talent. The songs do have some good diversity. His standout songs were Rome and Coming Home. I love this show. I love how we all hear different things, and that we take different things from an album. And you know, I agree. I think it's more down that Lenny Kravitz route. I didn't hear Led Zeppelin. Yeah, I love the Greta Van Fleet, because you know I'm a massive fan of Greta Van Fleet, and you know I do believe that these bands have people like Led Zeppelin in their DNA, but they're not a wannabe Led Zeppelin, but they are very heavily influenced by them, and I think there's definitely influences there, sort of funky Americans. There's a bit of sleaze rock in this, bit of I like it. I did really like this album. Don't Put Out the Fire, Won't Take Me Alive, Coming Home. I think there was a really good variety on that. It started to get a bit samey, and then they kind of slowed it down. They did a couple of ballads, and I really liked it. So it kept me coming back. It wasn't perfect, but it was a bloody enjoyable listen, and I kept coming back to it. I really like this sort of kind of that kind of American kind of rock and that Lenny Kravitz kind of feel. Actually, I was trying to. I think you summed it up really well there, Nate, because I was trying to find out, because it wasn't quite AC/DC, and it wasn't,
no.
and it was just like I had some vibes of that. But yeah, I would definitely go down that Lenny Kravitz kind of route, and sleazy kind of cool riffs. I liked it, and for me, I'm not as technical. I did I enjoy that album? Do I want to listen to it again? And I wanted to listen to this album again, and I did. I listened to it several times, and actually, it probably over a period of time, I think my rating came down slightly, so maybe it wasn't a good thing that I listened to it so many times. But I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's a cracking album, and certainly my side of sweet spot in terms of some of that sort of music as well. So, right, they're up against Cobra Spell and their album 666. Cobra Spell is an exciting international 80s heavy rock band founded in 2019 by guitarist phenomenon Sonia Nubis, vocalist Cristina Vega, bassist Roxy Herrera, rhythm guitarist Noel Dos Anjos, and drummer Hale Napathat, I think, complete the quintet, which signed to premier Austin label Napalm Records. So they are an all-female band. So it would only be right. It'd only be right that we start with our all-female reviewer. Trish, then, what did you think of Cobra Spell 666? Number
Yeah,
of the beast.
exactly. When you see that the opening track is titled 666, you do wonder what you're going to get. And what you get is a disappointing instrumental of 1 minute and 7 seconds back that doesn't give anything away about where this album is going to go. But straight after it, you're hit with the track SBA, which transports you to 80s rock. And we all know I love a bit of 80s rock. And you certainly know what your journey you're going on with them, with tracks like Satan is a Woman, along with the catchy tune to boot, and tracks Hotline 666, Bad Crew. There is no doubt in their cheeky innuendo message. I really enjoyed the track Love. Love had me toe tapping. Alongside, it had a bit of a Pat Benatar vibe to me with the saxophone droning for good measure. You're a Cheater and High on Love. I could hear similarities in the vocals during the telly. This was one journey I enjoyed that had me smiling and was good fun rock, and one to review with a keeper of an album for this properly.
Ooh, okay. Chris, Cobra Spell, all female band. Did it call out to you? Did it raise the beast in you, my friend? And what sort of number did you play?
So I don't get it. I like the album, but I'm not sure I understand how I'm supposed to listen to it. So when you take a look at things like Steel Panther, which is another one who's doing 80s music but formed in like the late 2000s, it is a bit, well, it's all tongue-in-cheek, entirely from start to finish for Steel Panther. It's all supposed to be. I'm not sure whether it's supposed to be so much with Cobra Spell. Now, as you said, they're an all-female band. That is not a bad thing in the slightest. I'm not, I like bands with female singers. I totally like the way that it all fits together. I like the fact that they are an all-female band and they are doing a great job. But I don't know how much I like it or not. I had to stop listening and come back to it a couple of times just because the album didn't really sit right with me on the first listen through. I've come back to it a couple of times since. It's growing on me a bit. I hate the phrase growing on me because, it brings up connotations of other things. There's quite a lot of good stuff in there. There is some catchy stuff. I mean, this is a joke I feel slightly more comfortable saying. A meat hook is catchy. I don't want one in the ear. But it does have really good energy start to finish. They don't. There's a ballad they try and sort of put in the middle, but even that has a decent energy running through it, and it just kind of goes from start to finish. I think it really rounds off really well with You're a Cheater and High on Love just to finish. It's got energy all the way through. It's just I don't quite get whether I'm supposed to be along with the joke with some of the songs or whether it's poking fun at something I'm not quite sure about. I like it, but I don't quite get it. If you see what I mean. Yeah, it's one of the odder albums that I've listened to in terms of understanding how I'm supposed to feel and how I'm supposed to be listening to it. But I did enjoy listening to it. So
cool. Well, talking about something that we like but sometimes don't quite get, Nate.
Hello. Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be a joke. I think that's the danger in it. I think they're deadly serious, which is a shame.
Totally part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. First of all, the guitarist is great. They're fantastic. They really they're not doing the bare minimum. They're putting in the work to throw in extra notes for him. So it's largely it's still, you mentioned Led Zeppelin being in people's DNA. It sort of has to be because they are the first people that took blues and made it heavy. So anything that came after that has got a bit of Zeppelin in, whether they want to admit it or not. But these guys are throwing in notes from different modes and scales and stuff like that, and so I really like that. They're not. She knows what's coming. So I like the fact that the guitarist really is working hard, and I think the rhythm section is really solid as well. The vocalist shouldn't be in that band. She should be nowhere near that band. It is not the genre for her voice at all. The choices that were made, the melody choices, are not right for the genre. She goes down when she should be taking it to a higher level. She's much more sort of kind of a soul vibe to her, I thought. The lyrics were fucking cliched and so unimaginative, and I understand 80s was a bit, cringeworthy, but like in a good way, like if you think of even Motley Crue or something with a way da, da, that kind of chorus and stuff like that. But it's not the 80s anymore, and it shouldn't be. And if you mentioned Steel Panther, the whole point of Steel Panther is it's a piss take. Like, they're such good musicians, and they are having a laugh at how silly it all was. So then anything that really comes after Steel Panther, or even The Darkness or people like that, and they don't act like it's silly, you can't call an album 666 in 2024. You fucking can't. It's just like, grow up, you silly, silly, silly people. And just because no one else has said it, it's an all, like you said, it is an all female band, and that means there's a series of kitchens that are unattended to, and that's not good, is it? We can't have that.
I'll have to edit that one out.
I don't mean it. I don't mean
I know
it.
you don't.
I've loved
I know
all
you
these
don't.
albums. I'm just a character on the internet, fucking abhorrent singing. Take the vocals out, and it's wonderful. And that vocalist, by the way, is fantastic, and I would love to listen to her in any band but this one.
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from on that. Paul, Cobra, did it cast a spell on you, my friend?
Well, since Will isn't on this podcast, I'm going to have to one who's going to talk about the album cover, which basically is a member of the band performing knife sex on the devil. So if you actually look at that, it literally, you've got to say that this has to be, a tongue-in-cheek.
You said knife sex, like knife sex is a thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, I got a bit of a bad shoulder because of the missus, but so I know all about that. So this is an all, like it's already been mentioned, this is an all-female glam metal act. However, I of all the ones I can affiliate to, it has to be Chris. I think the subject matter and so forth is just it just turned me off, to be honest, rather than turn me on. It is brash, it is fun, it's just a couple of decades too late, and that's the problem with it. It's just totally out of context, it's just not the what I want to be listening to in 2024. So I listened to it. I did like the SEX song. I thought it was a bit of fun. It was a nice up tempo, but the rest of it just I know, just as Dirty Honey, I'm not going to be listening to this album again. And I tried, but it's just not for me, to be honest.
I think Ian absolutely detested this album. A pretty poor album, both lyrically and musically. Another cheesy 80s sequence homage. Though this would be in the 80s in a B movie. Surprise girls singing about sexual dominated themes that you would expect to hear from out of touch 80s band, and giving it one last go. Definitely not for him. So kind of similar to that one. And yeah, here's the problem: is it and I think where you
and there's one thing I'm going to add. Is what Nathan said is the guitarist. She's formerly from Burning Witches, which we've listened to before as well,
they're really
and she is an excellent guitarist.
Yeah. And I think that's the saving grace, if I'm honest. I think the problem is that. First of all, and Nathan's absolutely right. The actual foundations of the album, in terms of the guitar and the melodies and stuff, are actually pretty solid, and they're pretty good. And actually, there are some outstanding moments out there. The vocalist is good, and you think, but it doesn't quite fit. And the lyrics are just uncomfortable because, like, in this modern times where you've got to make it that this is completely tongue in cheek, tongue in cheek, and yeah, the album with Knife Sex might then allude you to that, so some visualization of that might make it different. But there's obviously a market out there for this. But again, you know, they're evangelizing about resurrecting the 80s. I'm sorry, but there are 1,000 bands out there trying to do the same thing. The fact that you're an all-female group band so that you can maybe do that is neither here nor there. There are 1,000 bands out there that are trying to keep this 80s kind of music, and you've got to be good. And I think the foundations are there good, but actually, you know what? You don't need to be cheesy. You don't need to be talking about sexuality. Look at some of the our top 4 albums were full of amazing lead vocalists. You know, Within Temptation and Vicious Volantis, and this year Beyond the Black and Phantom Elite and Elysion, with our female-dominated lead vocalists who are blazing a trail with a brilliant music out there. So, you know, if you take yourself seriously, because you know what, you've got the basis of being a really good rock band, really good. So somebody needs to have a chat. You don't need to harken back to the cheesy 80s and have cheesy kind of sexuality kind of music. There's a place now and again, you know, maybe 1 or 2 tracks within that album, like Sex and stuff, which is a good song. So it's just, and I think with some of Borderline, it's frustrated. This album is incredibly frustrating. So because there is some talent there, there's some good stuff there, but for me, it also lyrically just didn't. I didn't want to really, all right, a bit of a chuckle now and again, but overall, I didn't really particularly want to re-listen to the band a lot. But equally frustrated because I thought musically, there was some stuff that I really liked in it. So okay,
I do think
sorry, go on there.
Well, I do think it's worth saying that we brought it up a lot, and we probably shouldn't have really, because it doesn't matter that they're all female, and I know everybody thinks that. It doesn't matter at all. But it does matter if you're talking about sexuality, because that is a relatively... It's weird. If you listen to the female punk scene, well, the punk scene actually, about having more women as part of it, they are, and stand-up comedy too, women are actually now able, in a place where it's okay to talk about their sexuality in a sort of a forceful way. And it is kind of refreshing actually to have an 80s band talking about the same stuff that men in the 80s were allowed to talk about. Like, a crew were allowed to talk about all the shagging and all the drugs and the objectification of women. So it's a cool thing that women are now doing that, because at one point they wouldn't have been able to. So that is I think probably worth saying. Like, it's a good thing that they are that this exists. But you know, maybe we're just a bit past it.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. I think the thing that I was going to say, kind of fits in with that. It almost feels like, and certainly from our discussion, it seems like we all agree that, you know, they've got a great singer, possibly not the right genre for the singer, but a great singer, great guitarist, great drummer, great instrument. You know, the people that are in here are all good at what they do. They are all female. Does it kind of feel a little bit like they've decided to go out and get an all-female group that can do this sort of stuff, and then find a genre that previously we wouldn't have been able to do? So you've then gone back into the 80s and that sort of stuff, and they've tried to do that, and it hasn't quite worked because it's kind of so obvious that they've tried to and that they don't quite fit together.
Maybe.
Possibly
Yeah,
that's where
I think Nigel did sum it up what me and you were trying to say, Chris, so that the material was uncomfortable to listen to.
Yeah,
and that was the problem with it.
I didn't find it uncomfortable, just saying, as a woman.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Like, it's a bit weird, I think, for men to hear that kind of stuff coming from a direction that I don't associate women with that style of music. So and that's a problem with me, not the band. Yeah. So I think it's a cool thing, but like, maybe it isn't for us. Maybe it's for women who are into 80s music, at which point it's probably really fucking empowering and stuff like that, which is a fantastic thing.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So if I had to take it from maybe
ultimately it's the individual person who's listening to it and make their own mind up. But anyway, right, okay, let's find out which album. I think I know which one we're going to buy, but let's find out, shall we? Trish, Dirty Honey.
4.5.
4.5. Chris.
3.
3. Nate.
2.5.
Ian give it 3.5. Paul.
2.5.
I give it a 4.5. We're looking at 9, 12, 14 and a half, 15, 18, 20 and a half. So over the 20, top 100, I think, just about. Didn't quite get into our Hall of Fame. Cobra spell. Trish.
4.5.
4.5. Chris.
It's a 3 for me for that one as well.
Nate.
Again, not because of the musicality, it's just the
Yeah.
Again, 2.5 for me. Yeah.
Ian, give it a big fat 0.
Wow.
Big,
Wow.
Our first 0 of the year, everybody, across all of the 6 shows we've done, is our first 0 of the year. But he really did not like that at all. Paul.
2 from me.
2. Slightly better than that. I'm along with Chris. I give it a 3. So 7.5, 10.5, 11, 13, 15. Is that above average? I don't know. No, it's exactly spot on average, actually. There we are. Okay. So thank you very much. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. Thank you once again to my amazing panel, to Chris, to Nate, to Paul, and to Trish. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Keep on rocking out there, everybody. Bye for now. Oh, by the way, we'd obviously buy Dirty Honey as a result of that. I digress, but we're buying Dirty Honey. But
I gave them the same point.
yeah, you she did actually. I'm saying goodbye a bit too soon there, but which would you buy, Trish?
Probably Dirty.
Dirty Honey. And Chris, which would you buy?
Oddly, I think I would probably go with Cobra Spell, just because, as I say, as I started listening to it more, I kind of got a bit more into it. But yeah, it doesn't sit right, but I'd be trying to figure out how it sits, if you see what I mean.
Which would you buy, Nate? Could you give both 2.5, actually?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? 2.5 for me is like a really good grade, and 2.5 for Paul is like dog shit. I'd buy Cobra Spell because you.
So on that score, thank you very much, everybody. And this time it is a proper goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.